And so we're on Thormun's journal entry 23. And we got a little bit to read. So how about, who wants to start with that first paragraph?
Here, I could probably do it.
All right.
Inscribed by Thormun of Telerion on this, the 9th day of Renefeg. Our party spent the day traveling westward from Olar's new stronghold on the coast of the Bitter Sea, and we have now made our way into Anund. Once before, in the days of my youth, I traveled here to this beautiful place. The land was green and lush. Scattered across Anund were quaint little villages filled with stunning homes, built right into their surroundings. Hills and trees were left where they were, and the towns were adapted to fit nature's architecture. We have passed 2 such villages today, but they are not what they once were. It made me want to weep for the people who once called these places home. Where a proud gathering of buildings once stood, now only a husk of a town remains. A barren shell lacking what makes a town a town. People. They had been abandoned for some time and were in a state of decay. The homes were overgrown and crumbling. No life remained there.
All right, that's paragraph 1. Who wants to do paragraph 2?
I can do it.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Dusk is now upon us, as we approach the third of Anun's once beautiful villages. This one appears to be in the same state as the others. We are all following Beldoon, who knows more about this area than any of the others. He leads us right up to the abandoned village, suggesting that we take harbor from the harsh, seasonal winds of Ronveg by making camp in one of the buildings there. As we ride into town, the hooves of our horses clatter against a stone-paved street. The sound reverberates off of the empty domiciles and echoes back at us and in the ghostly voice. We are all on edge, our senses in a heightened state. Suddenly, one of the horses is spooked and rears whinnying sharply, ending his cry in a snort. My head goes on a swivel, being spooked a little myself. As I look about, I see a flash of movement duck into one of the empty buildings ahead. Something's up ahead there. I alert the others as I jump from my horse and spread my wings flying after the movement. Landing, I walk through the door that the flash retreated into. It's dark, too dark to see anything. I shout out, "Hello? Is someone there? Hello?" I see a strike of flint and then a torch leap to life. What that flaming torch illuminates makes my heart jump in my chest. Gathered around is some 15 or so huddled Kyrie. Their clothes are torn and dirty. Fear lay in their eyes. A small cured child is in its mother's arms, crying as she rocks it. Standing in front of them all, holding the torch and a spear, is a young Kyrie man. He shouts, "Get out of here!" I try to explain that I mean them no harm, but before I can get the words out, he hurls a spear at me. I dodge it narrowly and back out the door. The others from my party are behind me, having come to my aid. "Get on your horses," I tell them. "We're not staying here." They try to object. I reply, "There is nothing we can do for these people right now, except leave them be." Even as the words escape my mouth, the young man is out of the door waving his torch threateningly. "We're going," I say to defuse him. As we hop on our mounts and ride out of the town, the spear is hurled after us. The young man shouts, "And don't come back, you warmongers!"
All right, and I guess I'll finish this last little paragraph here. Warmongers. Is this really the world we live in now? So full of fear, hate, and mistrust? Where have the people of these villages gone? And what has got those who remain so afraid that they'll sooner put a spear through a man's chest than hear what he has to say? It doesn't look as though the villages were pillaged or taken by any force, just abandoned. Okay. So that gives kind of a bleak outlook on things. But I'm interested in some of the writing here. If I might we might go through this again. Okay, so we have Thormun riding a horse.
That's
that's one thing that stood out to me first was like, okay, if he's got wings and he can fly, why is he riding a horse?
See, I think the perspective that we lack is the fact we don't have wings. First of all,
True.
second perspective is that I've always understood it in the lore of the B movie, right? It's like when humans have legs, why don't we just keep running all the time? We don't, because it makes us tired, right?
Yeah.
So that's why people don't fly all the time when they have wings. It makes them tired. They mentioned that they can fly in like bursts, like short bursts and things like that, and they can take a certain like pop kind of fly, but I don't think they can do like long distance flight, which is why they use the horses. But yeah, I've always understood it like the B movie. You know, we don't run all the time, so they don't fly all the time. So
that is the most truest of lore references, the B movie, right there.
Yeah, like, and it's the funniest thing to me because that, like, when I first heard that explained it to me. I was like, that's why the Kyrie don't fly all the time.
I would like to see some Kyrie horses or some Valhallan horses. I'm sure they look maybe.
They probably
a bit
do look a
different.
little different. Yeah, I'd imagine.
Who needs horses when you got a flying cougar or whatever the hell Valen was riding?
The Manticore.
Manticore.
Yeah.
I'm excited with that.
Or even a flying horse. There's flying horses.
Flying horse.
Yeah, they're
From
Arrakis.
Phelan, yeah.
Old Ganesh's mount is a Pegasus.
Olganesh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Lex is saying, Craig Van, voiced by Jerry Seinfeld Ness.
You like jazz?
Forget about it.
But yeah.
What?
But that's usually I usually think it's because it's the long distance is why they have to do horses instead of just flying the whole time. I think it's
Sure,
like
no,
it is an energy thing.
I get that. I mean, it uses muscles still. But at the same
And don't-
time,
and-
at the same time, though, here's the objection that comes in my head, if I may. How then, if they say that when the airborne elite have to do their drop, that it's a Kyrie or a Kiri that flies them out to wherever they need to go and drop them? That is long distance flying. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they carry them all the way. Like they
But they
probably
just
meet
do it
up and
once.
then
They're
drop
tired
them.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Just because some can fly long distance doesn't mean everyone can fly long distance.
This is
That's
true.
it's probably like
Could be a
you got
fitness thing.
athlete Curie, the Curie triathlon includes flying. You have to go 500 miles in the air.
Lex is saying in the
I don't
chat,
know.
I like to think their horses also just have huge, unwieldy wings they don't use. Yeah, 'cause
Right.
we don't know.
And it is important to note that this journal entry was written during Ronvague, so it's the wind glyph, if you remember the wind glyph,
Mhm.
how it works. Yeah, they can't really fly during the windy season anyway. So
Ah, that okay.
Yeah, and some of them have metal wings. They're coated in metal. So I mean, we don't
Yeah,
know what kind of
like a-
metal that is. Is it magic metal? Is it aluminum? Like what kind of metal?
right.
Yeah.
Point taken.
Blessed
Point
by the
taken.
season.
Is it just tinfoil?
Just folds under a hit. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Now another thing.
Now in the
I've-
game we
Go ahead, Jason.
so
Go
in the
ahead.
game we had the Templar Knights in the game that were riding horses from Earth. Do we know they just didn't steal a bunch of like horses from some failed cavalry charge at Earth and use them now?
All right.
Maybe.
Sure.
Like, hey, we're
There were
gonna
some pretty horrific
borrow
times
these.
where a lot of animals were killed in battle in ancient days. So
Yeah. Then they had to figure out, like, okay, what happens if these horses die? Now we need more horses. Now we have to breed all these horses, and then they're an overabundance of horses. What happens then?
all logistics. You got to figure it out if you want to fight a war.
How many endangered species are on Valhalla?
Oh, probably a lot. I'd say probably.
Yeah.
A lot.
Hey, let's not forget the invasive species that brought over through all the summoning.
Whoa.
They were talking about marrow mushrooms and stuff growing. Like, yeah, no, we probably just infected this world. Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not our fault.
right?
I
fair.
mean, it's
we aren't
clearly-
we take the role of the Valkyrie roles, but we're not the ones doing the summoning. Haha.
Right. It's
We just
their
pay.
fault.
We just pay for them.
It's
through
never
points.
never the employee's fault. It's always the manager's fault.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. The
Oh dear.
Valhalla corporate. That's it.
Corporate.
That's gonna becoming a thing now. No.
It's like Monsters Inc. They have their own little commercial for you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'll summon 100 horses before I see this world die.
We got a 2919. We got a 2919.
Let's go.
See, Lex says Heroscape never brought in Capone era mobsters because they realized that Italians would be the invasive species that destroys Valhalla.
Oh no.
Ouch.
Yikes.
Anyway,
I'm not Italian. I don't.
I want to, yeah. But I wanted another thing that I have a few points here when reading through this. When Thormun's describing the infrastructure, like the architecture, and I'll point this back to Renegade as well. It's like it already is in like the lore and stuff for very intricate, detailed type of infrastructure on Valhalla, you know. And I mean, we were given a lot of terrain way back when, early 2000s, and even buildings and castles and such. But you could do so much more. There's so much more highly detailed terrains out there to really, you know, give a depth and a presence to your battlefield. And that's one thing I think Renegade really needs to capitalize on. It's not just like bringing back the grass tile or snow tile or lava tile or whatever type of tiles.
Yeah.
You got to have the buildings and make the buildings good and make them unique to their regions as well.
So, bringing that up, I was digging. I've been doing a lot of digging through the old threads. You know, as both me and Dandelions have been working on the Wikipedia, and Craig Van Ness mentioned something about Morrow buildings. They were planning on introducing Morrow themed structures before the game shut down. So it's like, and then he also said something about like ruined structures of a city in Valhalla as an option for your gameplay. So I mean, there's various things you can do. And even then, the volcano and the lava, that stuff is some of the most unique stuff Heroscape brought out. So
Right.
I can see some pretty cool ideas coming out.
Yeah, sky's the limit really with that. So yeah, I hope that we see more, because the potential is there. The ways to produce it and create it, they're there. You just got to do it. You just got to do the work.
Technology's definitely improved in an amount of time in the
for
past
sure.
13 years. So
For sure.
I would go crazy
more cool
for
stuff
just
made.
an abandoned like buildings, you know, stuff like that, because that would be so multi-use. Kind of like the warehouse kind of structure, but maybe a bit more usable. You don't have to fly to get, you know, kind of a built-in staircases and stuff like that. I could see it'd be really, really fun to have that more presence.
Yeah, and even more modern. Like, what would the ancient architecture of Valhalla look like if it was reconstructing Deathwalkers and other units from that race and species? Like, you know, have more modern looking tech-based stuff as well.
Yeah, and Justin,
Yeah,
hey there,
absolutely.
Justin in the chat saying I like Elven treehouse terrain. Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about like high ground tiles, is that they have a variety of stuff. You know, yeah.
Where are my Ewoks going to hang out? You know,
Exactly.
you got a bunch of murder bears coming and nowhere to keep them.
Don't remind us about the ill-fated future of Star Wars Heroscape, because that was going to be a thing. But alas.
Alas.
It still can happen.
It still could happen.
I think all of that could still happen.
If
It's
Renegade
another topic,
follows the
but
same
it's-
licensing they had, because they were planning some cool stuff back then. So
Yeah, all in due time. All in due
I
time.
believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so
Disney owns. Oh, that's right. Disney owns Star Wars too. Wait. I don't know why I just remember. Wait, so
now.
all the properties they were working with in the past is now owned by one group. That's wild. I can't. Sorry, that just hit me.
Lex is,
It's all in one group now.
Lex is saying I'd spend a lot of money on Gungan squads.
Yeah.
Huh? Any squads, really, yeah. Bunch of Gungans are commons, yeah.
Jar Jar top tier.
Yeah, yeah.
We can get Jar Jar working because he is more than a funnier character.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, and we don't really know whether or not he's a Sith, you know. That still has not been answered,
Lord.
so, you know.
Didn't you create a scenario years ago, Ryan, where you had to capture Jar Jar Binks and throw him in a lava pit?
Yeah,
I have a
something
feeling
like
that was a Christmas special of the Tabletop Battlefield like
something
10
like
years
that.
ago.
I'm sure you have that in your in your storage like somewhere. Yeah, we did all that because we used Lego minis as like the as the minis for and I still have all those cards. I still have all those Star Wars cards locked away. Yep, for certain. Yeah, that was a fun time. That was really fun. It wasn't very balanced. I know that.
I don't think it was.
No,
it
wasn't very
an
balanced.
experience.
But it was certainly fun.
That's the most important thing about the game is to have fun. So.
Oh yeah, Lex is saying. Oh, and Lex, I wasn't joking either. I seriously would like Gungan commons. I love those little translucent shields, and Lex is saying, Joe, you're yawning already. Wake up.
Oh, you can count. Start counting the yawnings. They're gonna keep coming. Just start counting, and just get a counter on the bottom of the screen or in the comments. Just count every time.
Tonight it's Joe Sleepy, not Joe Crazy. It's
Joe Sleepy.
Sleeping Joe. Sleepy Joe.
He hasn't had his daily dose of mind shackles, so you know.
There it is.
The bombarding of the
rain it on.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to say too, when it came to this story, is that you have Thormun describing like the Kiri as men, as a man, not a Kiri. Is that just what the author wrote for that to make it confusing, or what are your thoughts on that?
Wait, are you
like?
You're talking about
like even as the words escape my mouth, the young man. He just described them as Kiri. Is out of the door, waving his torch threateningly. You know.
So there's 15 of them in there, and then there was the guy in front of them protecting them. So it's just like the local villagers. I think they were trying to say, who are those that remain. Because this is, I think we're jumping ahead. I don't know if you want. Do you mind if I jump ahead just a little bit in the story?
Sure.
Because it's the next journal entry. So we're gonna find out pretty quickly. It's literally the next journal entry. The Morrow have been poisoning the water, and as a result, people have been leaving all the villages and things like that. So when I say those that remain, it's if you've ever really taken into account how disaster situations work, a lot of people are told to abandon. They're like, hey, you need to get out because it's not safe here.
Right.
And there's always that group of people that stay behind. So this group of 15 that they're running into is those that stayed behind. They're trying to, keep any semblance of their former life as much as possible. But the problem is the water is poisoned. That means no food, no hydration, really no point to be there. Yeah, it's a really bad situation for them. But I think when they're mentioning the young man, it's like they point out specifically there's this not so adult individual that is their only source of protection right now.
Sure.
And it really highlights the kind of grave circumstances that the people of Valhalla are finding themselves in right now as a result of this of the rise of the Valkyrie, which it helps a lot. Like this is the kind of stuff that if you remember in Carmine saying, Thormun is a complex character because he was our eye into this world. He was our voice piece. This is how we learned about Valhalla, was through Thormun's words. And you can progressively tell further and further into the journal entries that he's just tired because it's like his entire world is ruined. His family's home is gone, right? His brother's family is missing, doesn't even know where they're at, is showing up at these villages to see what's going on. Everyone's leaving. He's witnessing the world that was once a place of peace be completely annihilated, and hence now we have his motivation why he retakes his heritage as a Valkyrie, because he's like, you know what, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So
it gets kind of depressing,
which I think is really
honest,
cool.
Oh,
it's absolutely sad. Like this, I don't think we're meant to understand like his pain, like the depth of his frustration, because he remember he was the first one to find the wellspring.
Yeah,
that's another, and so for every bad thing that a wellspring causes, he feels that in secession because he's going to be like, dang, and I was the one that found them. So he's always going to remember it was my discovery that caused this. And then, yeah, just makes him worse and worse and worse as things get worse. So it's a very heavy guilt that he's bearing right now.
Sure,
I find it very interesting too that the people that are affected, the commoners affected by this war, are just accusing them as causing the war as the
They
Morrow
don't have
and
the facts.
and
Yeah.
Utgar and all that kind of stuff. They're in the crossfire. There's definitely casualties. It's sending that here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I mean, just from a literary perspective, I guess. I mean, why didn't whoever wrote this, instead of saying young man, why didn't they just say young Kiri? This young male.
They're probably using the term man as like a generic thing to say reference to a male of a species in this case.
Sure.
Yeah, just the person.
guess,
Yeah.
but
Instead of
it
saying
also-
like young Kyrie male or young Kyrie, and man is not supposed to refer to human in this case is probably what they're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
it's kind of lazy writing, but
Yeah, it is.
it's easy.
I think for me, it is a little bit because for me it does refer to as a human. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it still kind of refers to me
I
like
guess
that's what he's referring to as a human. So
then you have to establish like what is a young Kyrie, like, say boy versus man, girl versus woman. Is there
True.
like a similar name? Then you have to explain that to the people, and it's just to the readers.
then you have to write
It's
a lot more
it's a
words. Yeah.
writing shortcut. Yeah.
Sure. No, I get it.
But-
I get it. It's semantics, but yeah, I get it. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else stand out to you guys for this journal entry?
No. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, it's
The
very
world
sad.
is dying.
It
Yeah.
doesn't.
It's-
It doesn't really help the fact that we were in a funk anyway, starting out on this podcast. Just like
Now I'm even more bummed out.
Now we're sad for Valhalla because everything's dying. Everyone's running away. And then the people that remain just want to stab you. It's like, yeah, we're doing great.
Spear ya.
Like-
It's like, whoa, okay, we're gone. So
Oh, we're gone.
No wonder
See
they're
you
like,
later,
you know
homie."
what? Forget these Valkyrie. We're just going out. We're gonna do our own thing.
Become a pirate,
We're gonna become pirates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Just make some money
We're
out
gonna
off
go
of all
switch
this.
the Grand
thing.
Line. All right, we're out of
Grand
here.
Line. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Well, we might get into that some other time. But let me just close out
to New Tortuga.
Let me close out
Exactly.
this. Let me close out this segment for looking at Thormun's journal, and this is Thormun's journal entry 23, and discussing the lore behind this entry, and look forward to more in the future.